Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fumbling Gurus, a podcast that covers the NFL. And now, your hosts, Tom, John, and Gannon.
Welcome back, everyone. We're getting towards the end of the season. There's only a couple more weeks left. Of course, this week's kind of, I don't know, Pro Bowl week. I've never been a fan of watching the Pro Bowl, so I'm not sure if I'll even tune in. And I think, Gannon, you were making some comments this week about it being flag football, so I'm not sure any of us are really going to watch it.
This is one of the greatest weeks of all time. I mean, I absolutely adore just watching. This is the best of the best playing at a high level.
Yeah. Yeah. Who's, what, Tyler Huntley, I believe? I mean, he had a heck of a season, right?
Tyler Huntley, Derek Carr. I mean, these are the cream of the crop quarterbacks of the AFC.
So I would rather watch high schoolers play flag football than professional athletes play flag
Uh,
football.
it might be
Couldn't
a
even get
little
that one
more,
out.
might be a little more entertaining.
Yeah,
Now,
right?
now, Tom, I know me and you played a little flag football. What a brag or anything, but I was not on a good team. Could you imagine trying to pull the flag of a Tyreek Hill?
No, no, I had enough trouble of the guy who thought he was Tyreek Hill in high school. So I can't imagine someone that actually knows what they're doing.
I mean, that's the only thing that makes this year maybe a little interesting is that it's a bunch of like challenges, and they're gonna have a little flag football game, and it's gonna be just showcasing this unique ability that these players have.
Hmm.
I have no interest in watching it.
Yeah, I don't know. I like this spin a little better because I never liked the idea of them playing a regular football game. Because it's like they don't practice together. I get it; they're the best of the best, but do you really feel like they're going all out? It's more like it. I always equated it to like the wrestling, right? WWE wrestling, where it's just kind of they're out there. They're putting on an entertainment show, but it's not really football. So why are you playing real football?
The only time I've ever seen them actually try to tackle, like a defense try to tackle the offense, was I believe it was Cam Newton's rookie year or second year. And he had kind of done a little talk all season. And I remember reading articles saying that the defense really seemed amped up when he had the ball.
Hmm.
Other than that, no, they just played. They went 50%. They used to love it because it was in Hawaii. It was a free Hawaiian vacation.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it'd be interesting if they did a completely different sport and just did soccer.
They're
Now, I,
yeah,
I would love to see the linemen trying to play soccer.
dude. They might
Me
be.
too.
I mean, you don't know those linemen, man. They do yoga and like I would not be surprised if they were better than everyone else at other sports.
I will tell you one thing. If there's a certain left tackle that's say the defender, I'm not going near him. I'm afraid I might get tossed like a rag doll.
Oh man. See, Pro Bowl will be. I don't know. I don't know. They're trying to make it interesting. I don't think it's quite there, but anyways, we have the results of who's going to be in the Super Bowl. We have some head coaching positions getting filled. That's really the main news for the week. That's probably the most we're going to get heading into next week when we start having press conferences and we start hearing more from the Super Bowl teams. Um, they did announce the colors today. Isn't that exciting? We know what colors they're going to wear in the Super Bowl. I think, Gannon, you mentioned a red for one team, and I don't know, there's something like a sunset green.
It's midnight green. It's midnight green. Get it right.
Uh,
Respect the colors.
yeah, so we'll have to jump into that one too.
The Chiefs
Um,
are in all white.
all right, yeah.
Oh, they are? Okay. Oh.
So midnight green against stellar white. We'll call it stellar white. We can. I think we'll start off with some of the games and then jump into the head coaching positions. I think we'll find the I don't know the games a little more interesting here to start off with. Um, I don't. I don't know where to start. We'll just go in order of when the games were on TV. Um, but I don't know, Gannon. We were talking about this a lot, where we didn't really want it to turn into a game about the refs, but they kind of made it that way. So we'll save that for kind of the end of this game conversation. So we're sticking to just the football aspect. What what did you see that was good and bad about the Eagles this weekend?
You know, Jalen Hurts is great. He had some overthrown passes that kind of had me raising an eyebrow. I think that shoulder injury was a little bit more of an issue than we initially thought.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, when a certain other team lost their third string quarterback, it was kind of downhill from there. And they just kind of ran the ball on him on a defense that you weren't supposed to be able to run on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was clicking.
Yeah, I definitely think for me I mean, right, the 49ers were down from kind of the get go, and I think they got, of course, what first drive was it like second play? It was something ridiculous. Purdy his hand gets hit while he's throwing. He tears a tendon in his elbow, um, and he goes down. Right, he's not down, but he's injured for the rest of the game. Um, I think there was just a lot of frustration from the 49ers. Because and then too, I think the defense was trying to make up for that fact, and there was a lot of penalties. There was a lot of, and they were clear penalties. Most of them were clear penalties. You can argue whether or not they should have been called, but they were penalties. Um, and I think they're just trying to do too much and trying to make up for too much. Um, John, I see you all over the place, but you want to step in here with some of the how you felt the 49ers answered, how you felt the Eagles' offense did this weekend?
Well, one thing if you told me that the Eagles ran for 150 yards on the ground, I'd say they had a good running game. When you tell me that they ran the ball 42 times for 3.5 yards per carry, with the longest rush being 17 yards, I go, did the Eagles really have a good offense? I mean, they ran the ball for 3.5 yards per carry. They had 125 yards passing. That's not a good offense. Matter of fact, if you do that and carry that over, the game's going to be a lot closer. What happened was on the second drive when Purdy tears his UCL and can't throw the ball further than 5 yards, and Josh Johnson gets taken out with concussion. San Francisco had no offense, and the Eagles have a great defense. I'm not trying to say they don't, but the score 31-7 is to me very lopsided and not at all what the game portrayed. And the Eagles, yes, the 49ers have a great defense, but the Eagles, to me, did not have the great offensive showing that I think it kind of looks like at the end of the day.
I mean, you don't think they let off the gas a little bit by just doing nothing but run plays
I mean,
and
that
getting 3 yards a run to
that
get a
plays a
first
role into
down?
it. When
Yeah,
you don't need but 7 points to win a game, because the other team can't throw, you don't need to be able to, you don't have to throw the ball 42 times. You can run it 42 times. But on the flip side, 3.5 yards per carry, that's not good.
right. But this is also a defense that is still really solid,
Hmm.
that has one of the best uh, run defenses in the league. So,
I'm just saying when you look at it as a whole, I was not as impressed with the Eagles offense as I think a lot of people were.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I wouldn't say they were impressive, but I kind of agree with Gannon where they weren't really challenged either. And I don't know. I don't think you can take this game And I guess maybe this is my next question for you, Dan. And I don't think you can take this game as a measuring stick for the Eagles, but does that kind
Mm-mm.
of scare you, Gannon? Like they've had kind of what an easy Giants game, an easy 49ers game. They haven't really been tested in the offseason. And now they're going against the Chiefs, the other number one seed. Does that scare you?
So Hassan Reddick is a beast, and God, what was the stat? It was like number one for forced fumbles in the league that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
You can look that up. I looked it up. So, but I defense brings pressure. They're not banged up, super banged up. I know that Jalen Hurts has a nagging shoulder injury, and I think that Lane Johnson has a groin injury, but he still was really solid in that game. And I think he went up against Bosa. But um, yeah, man, I think the defense wins games. Offense, it I think that they're gonna step up versus the Chiefs. Um, I mean,
Question for you. So I don't want to interrupt you there too much here, but here's my question. The Eagles all year, and I think this is kind of what Tom was kind of asking you. The Eagles all year haven't been tested. They've had a pretty easy schedule. I mean, even they faced the Jaguars before Trevor Lawrence was really clicking early in the year. They faced Dallas with uh, not Prescott. The only time they faced Prescott was late in the year when Dallas beat Philly. Of course, Philly was head Gardner Minshew. They really haven't had a that kind of real test all year. I mean, granted, I know you play who you're scheduled to play. I mean, the I understand that, but this was supposed to be their test, and it wasn't because Purdy went down with the injury.
it's a what if, right? And there's always that asterisk next to it because we didn't play Purdy. We didn't play Dak. But at the end of the day, it's as it is a what if, I still think that the conclusion is the same. I think that the Eagles beat the Cowboys with or without Dak. And I think that they beat the 49ers with Purdy the way they played in that game.
Fair enough.
But hey, we'll see. I mean, they're going to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, and I want to hear all the excuses when they come out with a win, and that's all I got to say about that. So,
I will say this, and I'm going to defend the Eagles here for a second. I do not believe there's an asterisk by their season at all. The 72 Dolphins, the only team to ever go undefeated and win a Super Bowl, they faced the easiest schedule. They won every game that was put in front of them, and they won it all, right? They won a championship. There's no asterisk just because you didn't play anybody super challenging. The Eagles have beaten everybody put in front of them, except what the two games they lost, three games they lost.
yeah.
It's I'm not trying to say that. I'm just simply asking. Here you are going up against the number one seed, the best of the best. This is the big game. This is the competing nature, and what you've seen is a team that's unchallenged. The one challenge they're supposed to have, the way you get ready to go, and you really weren't challenged, not because you're so much better, but because they had no quarterback. They did not have a guy that could throw the ball further than 5 yards.
I get it. And then not only could he not throw it further than 5 yards, couldn't read the field. He had three. I know we'll talk about the refs later, but like the when you run out of time, it's not clicking. But
Delay
that
game.
penalty,
Yeah,
delay a game penalties. That guy was nowhere near a quarterback that caliber that you wanted in an NFC championship game. Um, And so he was out immediately. So that defense was on the field for entirely too long and got tired out. So, to your point, yeah, I mean that game you didn't you didn't really challenge the Eagles. In Giants, yeah, I could see your point there. You didn't really challenge the Eagles either. I mean, they did beat the Fakers in the Vikings, but
Which
stomped all over
I
them.
guess there's
But
something said about that too, right? I get the strength of schedule may not be up there, but the Giants got to that game for a reason. They were all there. They got dominated by the Eagles. There's something to be said that the Eagles just come out and win every game, regardless of who the opponent is. So
we say this now, but we're talking what ifs here. But what if it's not even close in the Super Bowl
mhm.
and they blow out the Chiefs? This will be a completely different story.
I, yeah,
I will sit here and tell you that the Eagles are the most complete team in the NFL right now. I mean, if you were to ask them where's the weakness on their team, it's hard to say, right? Their secondary is pretty nasty. Their front seven set records with the amount of sacks they had this year. Their linebacking core is good. Their offensive line is one of the best, if not the best in the NFL. The running backs doesn't feel like it's special, but they're really good. And then Jalen Hurts, the one area of Hurts' game that could be improved is the passing. Sometimes he can be a little inaccurate, but let's face it, he's an MVP candidate for a reason. It's a complete team. And they showed it by beating up everybody that's not great, right? They beat up on everybody they were supposed to, except the Washington football team.
Yeah. I mean, fun stat. Last time the Eagles went to the Super Bowl, they knocked out the Vikings, which also at the time was the number one defense in the league, with them only scoring 7 points against the Eagles.
I will say that I think it's absolutely hilarious that the Eagles are seem to win a lot of games when Carson Wentz's backup is in the game. I feel like there might be something to be said about that.
what is that? There's
Yep.
that movie where the you date the one guy and then you immediately find your match right after that. That's what it
Good,
reminds me of.
good luck, Chuck.
Yeah, something like that.
Except ask the Colts how that's going.
Oh,
Oh god. All right. I think we've gone through this enough, but part of the game that I don't know, I, I don't think it adds much of an asterisk to it, but there was right from the get go a big error. A big I don't know how we'll discuss maybe how we feel about this. Very first drive of the game, it's going pretty well for the Eagles. They did stop. It's fourth down. I think it's fourth and long, right? It's like fourth and six or something.
Fourth and three,
Was it? And they
pretty sure.
throw down the field on a fourth down. The guy comes up with the ball. Everyone thinks it's a catch. It's reviewed. It clearly jostled against the ground. It
mm-mm.
probably, if not, would have been overturned. The first thought that goes through my head, why why would the 49ers coach not challenge that? It's a fourth down. You're giving like a 30-yard play. They're going fast, and you see, is it Parker, right? And you see him giving the signal like, we need to go fast. Like, I'm not sure I caught that ball. Let's do this. It's like, I would, as a coach, I'd be like, okay, let's at least take a look at this. Because that
So
changed the entire time. That gave them a free touchdown at the very beginning of the game. Now 49ers are behind.
so there's two parts to that. Number one is it's the first drive of the game. You don't want to burn one of your two challenge flags on a play that you don't even know if you have an angle that'll show it incomplete or not.
To
So,
stop the other team
I,
and
I,
then you have the ball going the other way.
but here's the bigger problem: is in the playoffs you have a sky judge. They have the right to overturn plays. They did it in the Kansas City game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw.
They
I
they
know what player you're talking about.
they have the angles that the other teams don't have. So for those who don't know, when coaches challenge, they are looking at the same replays that me and you are watching.
Yeah.
So Fox did not show that back angle that showed the ball hitting the ground. So the San Francisco's view, they saw a catch. They saw the ball one-handed come down and then him roll up with the ball in hand. They didn't see anything else because they didn't have the angle until after the Eagles ran a play.
But that's the thing.
However,
I did that. You want to have full, like, you know what the challenge is, but I don't know. I would, as a head coach, I would want to question that play. Even if I thought, yeah, looking at that, it looks, but it's like it's fourth down. They're going fast. They clearly don't want this reviewed, and this is going to change the tide of the first quarter. The first drive, if you can stop them there, that stops their momentum. That gives you a little bit of momentum. You don't have the ball. If I lose a timeout and a challenge, oh well. What does it matter, right? That's all I have to give up. He didn't use a challenge the entire game, right? So what does it matter?
Here's
yeah,
my take on it.
go
Oh,
ahead.
go
No,
ahead.
go ahead. Again, go.
Here's my take. Here's my take on it. Okay. You had it was fourth down, and if they don't get that, you have midfield to your perfect position. Like, wouldn't you at least try? I mean, one-handed catch, how catches have been going for people this season, I think you could have got it, and you definitely would have got it had you thrown that challenge flag. But another issue I have with this is why did we see this 2 plays later? What it was reviewed like you saw the replay 2 plays later, and the entire half of the game we keep replaying this. I'm like, what are we doing here? Is it that boring of a game? Like, switch the station or something? Like,
Yeah, no.
it was all game.
Someone in
That
chat.
one-handed catch play. Oh, it wasn't a catch. We know. You played it 5 times.
That's what someone in chat's mentioning. Like, well, okay, take that touchdown away, and they still win by two. But take that touchdown away, you change, like, we're getting into like Marvel multiverses here. You take that touchdown away, maybe you don't run the play that Purdy gets hurt on. You're not down anymore. You may call more conservative plays or something, give them more time to get into the game. I mean, that changes your whole perspective on the game when it's still 0-0, right? If you, what, didn't they tie it up 7-7 at one point? So you take away that touchdown from Eagles, now San Francisco's up by 7. San Francisco never led in the game. So now we change the entire perspective of the game if you challenge and take away that first touchdown that theoretically, right, shouldn't have happened from the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, with Purdy in, it would have been a closer game, but it doesn't change the conclusion, in
No,
my opinion.
no.
I will say this about the Eagles game, and I am I hate the state that the officiating crews are in. I mean, the NFL, every major sport has terrible officials. It's whatever. The one good thing you can say about this Eagles game, because of the injury to Purdy, there is no debate, there is no question that the impact that the referees did or did not have was very minimal because of the fact that Purdy was hurt and the offense was just stagnant without him.
Hmm.
If Purdy was in that game and it was close at all, let's go on a pure hypothetical. Purdy plays this game the way it plays out. Except San Francisco loses 31-24. Now we're talking about a very different game,
Hmm.
and the story is different. Right now, it's the
Agreed.
Eagles are dominant.
Hmm.
It would have been the Eagles won thanks to the refs.
Yeah, if they won by a field goal, that would have been all that people were talking about.
You don't think they would have cleaned up those penalties a little bit? You don't you think that they kind of felt like what are we going to do without our star quarterback? And we have this guy that we just signed that doesn't even know our offense.
Yeah.
Like, they're desperate. And when you get desperate, you make mistakes.
Hmm.
And that's what they did in that game. And that's why they had so many penalties. It was double digit penalties in that game. I'm not saying that all of them were deserving, but there was blatant face mask calls, like just
Yeah.
they looked really desperate.
I think that's
So
to me that's what it was. They were down. They knew if they were going to win the game, the defense had to win the game. The offense wasn't going to win it, and it just led to you know lax penalties that shouldn't have happened, and them just trying to make a play that they shouldn't be trying to make. But John, you
so
look
can we
like you
talk
wanted
about
to say something.
yeah.
What's that?
You looked like you wanted to say something.
Oh, well, I mean, so we're talking about Brock Purdy with that injury. He tore his UCL and he's out. He's going to be out 6 months. And I see kind of chat talking, what if he can't throw the same? They mentioned baseball pitchers. So I watch a lot of baseball. I'm very familiar with Tommy John surgeries and stuff. The re- this isn't going to be a Tommy John surgery, but it's recoverable. Baseball pitchers and quarterbacks are there's just not as much stress on the elbow as other games. So he'll be back. I don't know, 6 months. I mean, he might miss. He'll probably be ready for week one. But it's tough. It's a big injury. It's a serious injury. I believe uh, Josh Allen was dealing with a UCL injury, but it was a partial tear, not a full tear.
Hmm.
So that's the good news in terms of Purdy is that it's a serious injury, but it's not a patella tear. It's not uh, the one that runs along the Achilles heel. It's not any of those injuries that are just really really hard to come back from. So that's the good news. Um, and talk about just bad luck. I mean, San Francisco lost three starting quarterbacks to season-ending injuries, and their fourth string gets a concussion in the same game.
Yeah.
That's
They
just
almost they almost had McCaffrey as quarterback.
and also for everyone who yells, why didn't they run Wildcat? Why didn't they run Wildcat? They could have done something. You have to practice those plays.
Yeah.
The coach isn't going to practice Debo Samuel and McCaffrey at quarterback in case their third and fourth string quarterback goes down with an injury. Like that's not what happens. It's not real. This isn't Madden.
Yeah, you don't have a playbook of 15 plays for Wildcat. You have a couple you practice, a couple you can do, but you can't play in that stance. And
Honestly, why'd they even sign Johnson? You got Cam Newton over there that you could have just signed to the rest of the season, and you could have just activated him. Would have been a better game.
I'm not touching that one. All right. I think we've gone through this game enough. Any last words on this game before we move on?
The NFL needs to go back to being able to dress a third string emergency quarterback. That used to be a rule back in the day. They need to re-implement it.
Isn't that kind of like the NHL? Like I remember
Fan
the
goalie?
story. Yeah, you can like pull a goalie from the stands if you need to.
Yeah, there's an emergency goalie. I don't exactly how that works, but in base or in football, there used to be an emergency quarterback. Once he entered the game, your quarterbacks were done, but he was allowed to be able to play, and he didn't count towards the roster spot. They need to re-implement that.
That could lead to some very interesting.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, it wasn't like fans. I mean, it would be like your third string quarterback. So, say Jimmy Garoppolo may have been able to throw. He could have been the emergency quarterback. Miami, when they had Tua and Bridgewater active and Skylar Thompson was inactive, Tyler Thompson would have been the third string. For the Bucks, Trask would have been the third string, like emergency quarterback. So it's like it's not pulling a fan off the game. I just to have play.
Be like at a rock concert. You'd bring on to play the drums. No.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. All right. There was another game this week. I guess we'll talk about that one too. Bengals against Chiefs. I think John, I don't know why you picked the Bengals. We both picked the Chiefs, so I mean, man,
John making mistakes.
I was this game to me was kind of like up and down for both teams. When we started off, the Chiefs looked like they couldn't be stopped. The Bengals couldn't get anything going. I think they had five plays and 4 sacks or something in the first couple drives. Um, I I didn't see where Bengals were going to start coming on and getting hot. It looks like they're going to have another 9 sack game like last year's championship game or whatever. Um, but they found a way. They came back. They tied it up. They had a couple chances to go ahead, a couple drives to get that last point across the board, and they just couldn't get to it. And then, man, that ending, I I feel so bad for that linebacker. Um, he hits Mahomes just out of just out of bounds. 15-yard penalty makes it almost like a chip shot for the field goal there for the win. John, what stuck out to you most about this game?
Well, I love Andy Reid. I think he's one of the top coaches in the NFL. I do not like settling for field goals inside the 5 yard line. That is a big no no for me, especially when you got a guy like Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3-0. You have the ball at the 4 yard line, 3 or 4 yard line, and it's fourth down, and they settled for a field goal. They absolutely dominated the first quarter, and it was 6-0. Right then and there, I looked at my dad and said, "This isn't good." Because yes, the Chiefs had dominated, but all it takes is one play, and you're now down. And I don't remember exactly how that broke down, but I want to say, okay, so I look. So it ended up the Chiefs or Cincinnati gets the ball, they go down the field, and they end up kicking a field goal
Mm.
on a short field goal. And it just felt like the Chiefs had a chance to put the every time the Chiefs had a chance to put the dagger in and would just run away with it, they just couldn't do it. You had the interception, Joe Burrow interception right at the end of the half. The Chiefs are in position to go up. I think it was 20-3 at this time, and they get the ball back at the half. And so it's like, this is perfect. You have a chance to double dip, and it's 27-3. This game's over. And they have to punt. And then the Chiefs, or the Bengals, nothing happens
Yeah, they
there,
dropped
whatever.
down for another field goal there.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. They end up going down. Well, then the Chiefs get the ball, and you're like, okay, well, the Chiefs can score in the third quarter, separate, and they don't. And it just kind of felt like the Chiefs, as good as their offense was the first quarter, they just couldn't get going.
Mm-hmm.
And then some things that I've never seen before. A do-over play that was interesting. That was kind of fun.
I'm still confused by that.
So, so I mean, for those who are clueless what I'm talking about, it was a third down play. The Chiefs run a play. They throw it short. It's incomplete. And the officials run up and they get to do third down again. And what had happened was on second down, they threw an incomplete pass. But when they reset the play clock, they reset the play clock. And so the time started going down, and an official noticed it and went and blew the play dead. But they didn't blow the whistle. They just kind of waved their arms, or they blew their whistle and nobody heard them. I don't know. But they blew the play dead, and so it didn't count. Well, the Chiefs' next play was a flag on the Bengals, gave them the first down. And so kind of the running joke was, I saw on Twitter, was, the Chiefs couldn't convert on seventh down. But the Chiefs end up having to punt on that particular drive, so no points were given. But then you kind of get this ending, and you just know this game's going to overtime, and Mahomes starts to do Mahomes things, and with that bum ankle, he hits his top speed for the playoffs, and he steps out of bounds. Both feet are out of bounds, and Osway, whatever his name is, tries to make a play. He's a young linebacker. He's giving it his all, and he tries to make a play. Well, you attack on 15, and Butker doesn't miss. You asked me what I saw. I kind of described the whole game. This is what I saw. I saw a Chiefs team that didn't take advantage of the Bengals' miscues, and I saw the Bengals not able to take advantage of the Chiefs' miscues. That's what I saw.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, that's what it seemed to be. Is at first the Chiefs couldn't be stopped. We were all discussing it that the way they were running the offense is like, who do you even watch? Like, you're watching Kelsey and they go to the running backs. You're watching the running backs and they go to the wide receivers. You're watching the wide receivers and he keeps the ball and does something with it. It's like, and then they were doing trick plays and random stuff. And it was like, what are you supposed to look at while they're playing offense? I don't even know. I, I, I think that's what sets it. I mean, you talked about Andy Reid. I think that's what sets the Chiefs apart. You never know how they're going to attack and how they're going to get their points.
From the spinning huddle on week 17 to a pitch play in the AFC Championship game. I mean, the hook and lateral. I mean, that I love watching the Chiefs. That offense is so much fun.
I
Second best
ah,
offense in the NFL behind Miami's.
ah, that's cute.
That's like, I mean, we talked about playing flag football earlier. That's like a signature flag football play. You have a guy post up, he catches it, tosses it to the other guy, and he's gone. Like it didn't work exactly the same way for Kelsey, but I think they were trying to save Kelsey getting hit. Honestly,
Elsie looked like that ankle was his back was bothering him.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. There were a couple times you could tell he wasn't 100%. Um, yeah, I mean, again, an exciting game that I think fell short in terms of the ending. We were expecting a little more fireworks, and it just kind of petered out at the end. They kicked the game-winning field goal, and that pretty much is it. Um, I guess so. We're not gonna go too much into next. Well, not next week, but the big game. John said I'm not allowed to say the copyrighted term on this.
We've said that a few times already. We're good at this.
I wasn't paying attention. Um, so, do you think Mahomes and Kelsey will be 100% after 2 weeks of rest?
95%, if not 100.
I think they'll be pretty up there, yeah. I think they'll
It's
be
the
ready to go.
it's the receivers and it's that secondary that need the time.
That was the
I'm
other,
more worried about those
they
guys.
were down to like what, one valid receiver at one point? I think they had
MVS
three. I think they had like three injured wide receivers at some point in the game.
MVS was doing his best impersonation of Randy Moss. That dude was on fire.
Yeah.
The way Mahomes played injured, I'm whatever his condition in the Super Bowl, he's gonna be just fine.
It's safe to say that Mahomes healthy, best quarterback in the league. Mahomes hurt, top three, top four quarterback in the NFL. Like we can agree with that, right?
Oh yeah.
I,
When
I,
he's out, he's still top 15.
I can't disagree with that, but I don't like to
Uh,
agree with it.
I mean, ultimately, the reason why I picked the Chiefs was I didn't pick against the Bengals. I picked Mahomes.
Hmm.
The guy's just he's just on a different level.
I
Yeah.
will give you that. He looks scary.
All right. Well, I just said we're not going to go into the final matchup just yet. I think the only other thing for this week in terms of news were some head coach hirings. So we can dive a little bit into those, see what you guys think. Um, I mean, it's still really early, right? So I feel like there's not going to be too much necessary to discuss other than, our first initial impressions. I'd say probably the big one today is announcing that Sean Payton's going to be back in the league. They kind of hinted at it. I was watching the pregame. I think it was he's on Fox, right? I think it was the first game pregame, and they were mentioning, oh yeah, Sean's out interviewing, trying to find himself a coaching job, so he won't be here today to talk about the analysis or whatever. Um, but it got announced today. He's going to go to the Denver Broncos as the head coach. Um, I, I don't know. Do you think this is a good fit for Russell Wilson? I don't see Sean Payton being similar um, to the coach in Seattle, but I don't know. I don't know if there's anyone else that that they would feel comfortable with in Denver right now besides someone like a veteran, a well-established head coach like Sean Payton.
There's a reason why Peyton is known as one of the most brilliant offensive minds in the NFL. Now, I'm kind of interesting that, here he's had a Hall of Famer in Drew Brees, a great defense in New Orleans, and they have one Super Bowl ring. So is he overrated as a coach? I kind of questioning that a little bit when I started to break the number. I hate McCarthy, right? We all agree we hate McCarthy as a head coach. McCarthy has more Super Bowl rings and has better offenses than Sean Payton has.
Mm-hmm.
So when you break it down like that, that's a little scary to me. They gave up a first round pick and a second round pick, and they get a third round pick on Sean Payton. If there's a guy that can help fix Russell, I think it's Sean. I think it's Payton. But that's a steep price, man. They are paying a lot of first round draft picks, second round draft picks, and money for Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. But the best part was how they got Sean Payton. I mean, they went from trying to get Jim Harbaugh to trying to get D'Amico Ryans to trying to get to Sean Payton, and then they went back to D'Amico Ryans, and now they said we're going with Sean Payton. And are we sure it's Sean Payton? I mean, just asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I say there's two things that maybe stick out to me. One, if Sean Payton doesn't do well, does this reflect on his time, like you're saying, his time in the Saints and his legacy? I'd be very scared. Sean Payton clearly has to have an idea of what he wants to do here, because he's risking a lot by coming into a team that looked the way Denver looked last season. And then two, I don't know, thought crossed my head. Is Russell Wilson still a Hall of Fame quarterback if he keeps playing this way? I mean, you don't think his time in Seattle puts him? No, I don't know. That crossed my head, and now I don't know. I'll have to think about that one.
If you would have asked me last year that Russell Wilson was no doubt a bona fide Hall of Famer, but right now Russell Wilson's numbers aren't as good as Matt Ryan's.
Yeah.
He needed to have a couple more years. If he's not Matt Ryan level, he's not a Hall of Famer. Hall of very good, which I'm even questioning that right now.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see about that one.
It feels like Russell Wilson was oil dipped in a bunch of water and it's just not clicking. I mean, like you said, if anybody can do it, it could be him. Like he could probably mold that clay into something. I mean, last season, well, this season technically, but Broncos defense looked solid, but that offense just wasn't getting nothing done. And maybe it's Russell Wilson, you know?
Here's a question I have for you, Gannon. Sean Payton quit on his team. Like that's a fact. He quit on his team. He did not want to coach the New Orleans Saints. So he quit on his team for just 1 year, and he comes back and demands a trade. Would you be giving up a first and second round draft pick for him?
Short answer, no, I would not. But there's a reason they did, and that's what he did with the Saints. I mean, it's rolling the dice. It's cost a lot to roll those dice, but they did it, and we're gonna find out what train wreck Denver's gonna be in.
What? Yeah, man, I don't. I
Here's the
think.
thing. Oh,
Go ahead. Keep going.
when I looked this up, there was people saying that this might put Denver in contention for Super Bowl in 1 to 2 years. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think so, but time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's an overcorrection. They had a very young, was his first head coaching job, right? Hackett. Um, and I think this is going the opposite direction. Okay, we tried someone new that could bring in something fresh. Let's try a veteran that can bring in experience. Um, I think that's all this really is. There's not many other um, offensive minded coaches that are looking that have the experience Sean Payton has, and they I think as the Broncos front office, I can't make another decision like Hackett, especially with the people we have on the team. But then that goes to state too. You just made a huge bet on Russell Wilson. It didn't pay off. Now you're making a huge bet on Sean Payton. If this doesn't pay off, how long until the Broncos are going to be good again? It's going to be a while. They don't have much. There's not much else to leverage. What else do they have?
Well, there is one thing that's going for them. And I'm trying to look it up here. All right. There have been 7 coaches. I don't know when this article is written. But 7 coaches traded for. Okay. Don Shula, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winner. Bill Parcells, Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winner.
This is after the trade? Super Bowl winner? Okay. All right.
Mike Holmgren, Super Bowl winner. Bill Belichick.
He was traded? Huh.
What?
John Gruden.
I know that answer.
Herm Edwards is the only one that did not win a Super Bowl. I get Bruce Arians stepped down from his head coach. 2 years later, he was traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Super Bowl winner.
There's a lot of Buccaneers. I think it may just be the Buccaneers.
So, 6 of 7 have won a Super Bowl.
Interesting.
Wow. Do we want to make any early predictions for next year's Super Bowl?
Nope.
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 No,
Not with that team.
John and I have already talked. I'm putting $100 on Jaguars for the Super Bowl next year. The beginning of the season, before games even start, before preseason. Well, maybe not before, because if
Trevor Lawrence gets hurt.
yeah, if he gets hurt in preseason, I may not put the bet. So we'll save it during preseason.
Deal. So if any other team wins the Super Bowl, I get $100.
No, I'm like going to Vegas or something, putting $100 on.
Oh,
the
okay.
Jags to turn
Yeah,
it
it
into
was a
like
program.
You can bet me.
No, that's not the way that works. You're not going to have like 30-1 odds if it works and he becomes.
You wouldn't take that bet. Come on.
Well, that's what. But I'm saying why would he make that bet to you when he can get a lot better odds?
All right.
Whatever, man. Just trying to make myself some money.
I think we have 2 other head coach. I don't think these are as involved, maybe, of a conversation. But you were mentioning D'Amico Ryans has been considered for some of the positions, but he was hired by the Houston Texans today. 6-year deal. I think, John, he's going after your desired profession of
This is
fired
ri-
head coach.
this is ridiculous. All I have asked is to be a fired head coach. That's it. I'll sign a 3-year contract, okay? I'm not even asking for 6. 3. No. You know what? Good for Ryan's saying you guys have fired 2 black head coaches after 1 year, and now you're going to hire me? I'm not signing a 3-year contract. I'm not signing a 4-year contract. Give me 6.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like it, although one person I did see go, why would you sign a 6-year deal? You're now locked in. If you're a great coach, you can't get a new contract until your 6 years are up. The best part about that is no matter what happens, he's he's set.
Mm-hmm.
He's made some money, and they're not going to fire him after 1 year because that would be. I've never seen a program fire 3 head coaches 3 consecutive years.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you
we'll
have to lock in at some point.
I like the hire. D'Amico Ryan's great player, well respected guy. Goes to San Francisco, runs a great defense. It's good hire from everything I've heard. Um, and they have a good pick. Not the first overall pick because, well, the last head coach that was beautiful. I love it. Go for 2.
Texans, though. I do you guys remember the last times the Texans was good? I don't. So they've always been bottom of the barrel every time I've watched football, or so it seems. So I can he turn that team around? I don't know. I guess he has 6 years to do it. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
we
It'll
laugh at a Texans Super Bowl.
yeah,
So
it'll be challenging for sure. Um, the last position filled, I think this was earlier in the week, but Carolina hired Frank Reich, so I think what Colts ex head coach, I believe. Um, yeah, I don't really have any comments there besides what seems to end up in Indianapolis doesn't end up well. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to seeing him somewhere else. But the Colts is like, it seems like the team you don't want to. If someone's going or coming out of there, you don't want to touch them.
It's going to be interesting. Talk about the Colts. It's going to be interesting who they hire
Mm-hmm.
because from reports that I'm seeing, which just through Twitter and so, not I don't have inside information on this. You've got the owner who wants Jeff Saturday, and you've got like all the football people who do not want Jeff Saturday. So who's going to win that? I hope that they do hire Jeff Saturday, just so the Jaguars have the easiest path to the playoffs every year, because the Colts will be a joke for at least 1 more year.
Yeah, yeah, that would be interesting. There was a lot of outcry with the football community when that hire occurred. So I can only imagine if they decide to stay with him. Especially like you said, it seems there's only one person that wants that to happen. Everyone else doesn't. Um,
Well, there might be 3 other owners that are kind of rooting for it too.
yeah, without nefarious reasoning. Uh,
Yeah, Saturday is just not built for Sunday. That's all I'm saying.
I think we should give them some prime time games. It'll be the
definitely
Broncos.
prime
It'll
time
be the
games.
Broncos of last season. Just for some reason, the Colts end up in all the prime time games.
Just have them play every Saturday game.
Let's give Amazon all the Thursday night games. Just but nothing but Colts.
Saturday can't play Thursday either. Saturday can only play Saturday. Get it right.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Wait, no. Oh, wait, sorry, that's the Panthers. Who's on first?
No, what's on second? All right. I think that rounds out the news. Not much else going on today, this week. I think we're all excited for Super Bowl coming up. It'll be fun. That'll be a great game. I think we're kind of dying for a good game. The playoffs have, it's been hit or miss, but it hasn't really been the playoffs I remember, the games, the competition that I remember. So hopefully the two number one seeds kind of play it out for us. But we'll save that for next week. Any other last words from you guys heading into the end of this show? I'll throw to Gannon first. John looks
Isn't this
too
the
eager to jump into whatever it is he has.
It's football related, and I was going to add to that, but I guess I'll make it my final thought. So, isn't this the first time two number one seeds are in the Super Bowl? Isn't that crazy?
I
believe
thought
I
it
had
can't be
heard
the
that.
first time, but I do
Ah,
remember it's been a while.
yeah. Also, there was another stat where it's two African American quarterbacks, and that was surprising to me. I mean, like, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think probably Tom Brady and Peyton Manning can be blamed for that. I think they're showing stats of the quarterbacks from that division the last, you know, I don't know how many years, and it's been like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady every single year for like 20 years.
Uh, it's true.
All right, John. I know you're looking it up,
Tyler,
but
I was trying to look it up. Tyler Huntley, Pro Bowl MVP.
you want to give? Here, we'll do that. That'll be the bet with Gannon. Tyler Huntley gets MVP or anyone else, and Gannon gets money.
Heck yeah. Can I just have money anyway?
All right. I think that rounds out the podcast for today. Appreciate you guys joining in. Hopefully, you enjoyed the show. Feel free to leave us comments on anything else you guys saw throughout the week. We'll be back again next week to discuss the upcoming big game, what we're going to be doing for it, what we think the outcome's going to be, any other news that comes out throughout the week. But until then, we'll see you guys next Tuesday. Bye, everyone.
E.